Welcome back to the podcast. We've got a new episode for you today in the Gems of Wisdom series, Control Over the Mind and Heaven. And this quote's going to be coming from the book, The Gems of Wisdom by Swami Satchidananda, page 1, quote unquote, "If you can keep control over the mind, wherever you are will be a heaven. If you do not have that control, even if you're in heaven, it will be a hell for you." And this is very deep, and I can resonate with this personally. And this is really building upon the last episode talking about discipline. And everybody wants heaven. Everybody wants heaven, no matter if we have different definitions of what heaven is, everybody wants heaven. And I discuss this concept in my newest poetry book, Heaven is Forever. My definition of heaven is that everyone is living in unconditional love and peace. Everybody is completely free to express his or her true authenticity. Notice how it's an inner feeling. It has nothing to do with materiality, because if everybody's feeling unconditionally loving, unconditionally peaceful, that's going to reflect to the outer world. And how can you turn wherever you are into heaven? Well, the answer, according to Swami, is by keeping and gaining control over your mind. But how can you gain control over your mind? How can you keep control over your mind? Well, by being disciplined, by sticking to your practices. By cultivating high consciousness habits. And here are some ways that I've gained control over my mind, some high consciousness habits that I've started to implement in my life, and also sharing the opposite and comparing to what I could be doing otherwise. So the first one, meditation. It's just been absolutely amazing. Tests you in discipline, tests you in gaining control of your mind. And the opposite of just meditation is just not doing it, not consciously breathing, not taking a couple minutes out of your day to just be. That's an easy one. Cold showers. It has really helped me gain control over my mind, build some discipline, and it's not fun. Trust me, it's not, but it is amazing at the same time. It really clears your mind, cleans your mind, and the opposite of that is just ending your shower warm. Exercising, doing yoga, not being lazy, not just sitting around all day. Another thing that helps you become disciplined. You're really pushing yourself, testing yourself. Eating healthy, a huge one to gaining control over your mind, building discipline. The opposite of that is just eating junk food, eating whatever you want, and not really taking care of what you put into your body. And the last one that I'll mention, not as important, but reading books. Really training your mind, reading good books, reading books that you really gain a lot from. And I'm just really extremely passionate about this topic of heaven. That's why I wrote the book, Heaven is Forever. And I really wouldn't have written it if I didn't experience this firsthand and just have the desire to want to share this with others and realize that it's really a possibility that we can turn this place to heaven on earth. But it starts with everybody turning their own personality, their own personal reality into heaven. It starts with controlling your mind, disciplining your mind, and turning your mind state into a state of heaven. And though this heaven is a similar inner feeling, it may manifest differently in the outer world based on people's unique interests and desires. I had really been through hell. When I was going through depression and anxiety, going through these mental health issues, I had zero control of my mind at the time. I had to really start from the bottom, start from nowhere, no foundation, no anything. And if you don't have control over your mind, it will be hell. People who have experienced this firsthand will completely understand right away. And if you haven't experienced this, take my word that it's something that you don't want to experience. It's something that you also don't need to experience. And that's a misperception that you don't need to go through hell to get to heaven. You don't need to go through hell to get to heaven. You can be in heaven right now. You don't have to go through all that suffering like I did. You don't have to go through all that suffering and then have your breakthrough. You can just start mastering your mind now. You can just start practicing these habits, practicing discipline. You don't need to wait to have a mental breakdown like I did. You don't need to wait until you're hopeless and stuck in an abyss and have nowhere else to turn. That's really the only reason I got into this work. I got into this personal development, self-help, spirituality, emotional intelligence, mental health, self-love. That's the only reason I did it, because I was hopeless and I had nowhere else to turn, until I found meditation and cold showers and books like this that completely changed my mindset and helped me change my life for the better, basically going from hell to heaven, going from depression to unconditional self-love. I had no discipline. I had no control over my mind. Take it from me that it is completely possible to start to control your mind, to build mastery, and to control yourself through discipline, through practice, patience, effort, consistency over time. I've built it. I've built it slowly but surely. Imagine laying one brick at a time when you're building a house. It's not going to be in the snap of a fingers. You just have a completely perfect mind that you're under control of. And it's to the point where I've built my mind up now to the point where it's heaven wherever I go now. Wherever I go now is heaven, because the heaven is all in my mind. The heaven is all in your mind. It's all in controlling your mind. It's all about building discipline and controlling your mind. It's all in your mind. Heaven is all in your mind, but will you choose to cultivate it? Will you choose to cultivate it?